In just days, 67% of U.S. soybean exports to China have vanished, and America's heartland is feeling the blow. That's more soy wiped out than in any market crash since the 2018 trade war. But this isn't just another blip on the radar. It's a serious escalation in the ongoing trade tensions between the U.S. and China, and the consequences are landing squarely on the shoulders of the very farmers who helped fuel the current administration's rise to power. Let's break down exactly what's happening, why it matters, and what it means for the future of America's farms. First, the basics. A few weeks ago, tensions reignited. China hiked retaliatory tariffs to 125%, responding to U.S. tariffs that had reached 145%. But then came a short-lived truce. On May 14th, those Chinese duties dropped to 10%. Unfortunately, that truce didn't reverse the damage instantly. Even with tariffs down, U.S. soybeans are still too expensive compared to Brazilian imports. U.S. exports to China plunged another 67% in mid-April, and they haven't bounced back. And here's the twist. The states feeling the pain the most, they're the same states that overwhelmingly voted for Trump in 2024. Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio. The backbone of America's farm economy, and not coincidentally, some of the strongest Republican strongholds. In Iowa, nearly two-thirds of voters backed Trump. And now, town halls are turning into shouting matches. Farmers are divided, frustrated, and increasingly uncertain about the future. In Illinois, soybean farmers lost over $1.4 billion annually during the last trade war. And with this latest collapse, those wounds are reopening. So what exactly is fueling this free fall? It's the perfect storm of policy, market shifts, and global strategy all colliding at once. First, the tariffs. China's retaliatory duties essentially priced U.S. soybeans out of the Chinese market overnight. Second, Brazil and Argentina stepped in to fill the gap. With abundant supply, lower costs, and zero tariffs, Brazilian soybeans have flooded China, locking U.S. farmers out of their most valuable customer. And third, China's stockpiles. With warehouses full of soybeans and no urgent need to buy more, they can afford to wait and squeeze U.S. producers even further. On top of all that, American farmers are grappling with higher costs for equipment, fertilizer, and other essentials, partly due to earlier rounds of tariffs on steel, aluminum, and other goods. It's not just a market downturn, it's a squeeze from every direction. Farmers speak voices from the front lines. Their words hit hard. Caleb Ragland, Kentucky, American Soybean Association president. The tariff that remains is far from inconsequential. Products from Brazil and Argentina are not burdened by these extra costs. John Gilbert, 75, Iowa. We have never recovered from losing the Chinese market. Even if we gave them the beans, they wouldn't be cost competitive. Dave Walton, Iowa Soybean Association. The market outlook looks very tough this year unless we can get this trade war resolved before the new crop comes out. Jonathan Reynolds, Indiana, 1,600-acre farmer. I'm sitting at 25 to 30% sold already for this coming crop, and I'm just going to kind of wait and see what happens. These are farmers who voted for tariffs, hoping for protection, but ended up feeling betrayed. In one Iowa town hall, a frustrated farmer said, "To me it's like playing Russian roulette. How much further can this go?" And here's where the political irony sets in. The hardest hit counties, many of them voted for these very policies expecting protection, stability, and a stronger trade position. Instead, they're dealing with collapsing markets, mounting debt, and fraying community ties. So much for America First. It raises the question, did these trade policies actually protect U.S. farmers, or did they leave them more vulnerable than ever? And this crisis isn't contained to a few counties. The ripple effects are global. As U.S. soybean futures collapse, rival exporters like Argentina and Brazil are cashing in. Meanwhile, Brazil's agricultural boom, fueled by soaring Chinese demand, is raising alarm bells over deforestation in the Amazon and the fragile Cerrado savanna. Back in the U.S., without new export markets, many farmers are stuck. Recovery may depend on yet another round of emergency USDA payouts, echoing the $16 billion in subsidies handed out during the last major trade war. The big question now, can the tide turn? Analysts warn that unless a comprehensive deal is struck by late summer, U.S. soybean exports could drop by 20%, and prices could sink to levels well below production costs. The White House is reportedly preparing fresh farm relief packages, but let's be clear, bailouts are a bandage, not a solution. Long-term, U.S. farmers are being forced to rethink their business models. chase new customers beyond China, and grapple with the reality that America's dominance in global soybean markets may never return to what it once was. For many in the Midwest, especially those who believe tariffs would rebuild American agriculture, this collapse feels like a gut punch. So, will upcoming negotiations save U.S. farmers, or is this the tipping point that shifts global agriculture for good? We'll be tracking every development. Hit subscribe, stay informed, and we'll bring you the latest as this story unfolds.